Hey Han, I'm Chloe and this is the sitting bird tutorial. My mission here is to share my passion for pole dancing and make pole dancing easy to learn and accessible. This is the 18th video of the intermediate pole trick tutorial series. In order to maximize your training out of all the videos, I highly recommend you to start from the very first video of this playlist, as the tricks will be a progression of the video before. This sitting bird is such a pretty move. I have 3 different variations for you today. Now the prerequisite of this move is a side sit, so make sure you watch that tutorial before this one. This video is mirrored for your ease of learning. I'll have a red wristband on my right wrist and my right ankle to indicate the right side of my body if you do get confused of the directions. This trick tutorial is created for you for information and educational purposes only, and for you to enjoy learning pole dancing from the comfort of your own home. Please participate at your own risk and don't work beyond your capability, and seek help or spotting when necessary. For any health concerns, please make sure you seek professional medical advice. Please also to make sure you warm up your body before you start this video. I have a warm-up depending on your level under each playlist so that you can try that warm-up before you do these tricks. If you enjoy this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up so that I know to create more of these kinds of videos, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet so that you are notified every single time I upload a video. If you're looking to further your pole journey and combining tricks and dance together, then consider subscribing to my online learning platform, Pole Art Vault, where you'll be learning tricks and dance together and learning an entire routine with combos and dance mixed. For further information, you can find the link in the description. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into the sitting bird tutorial. Alrighty, now let's get into our conditioning. For conditioning today, we are going to try opening through our elbows. Now, this is going to be needed for one of the variations that we're about to learn today. Now, if you feel like this is way too much for you, remember that you do not have to get this particular variation, but we're just going to work on opening through the shoulders. Now, just to preface this, I won't be going through any conditioning for our side sit, so make sure you watch that tutorial before you start this one. So, we are going to get our inside elbow onto the pole, and you're hooking that elbow down. Now from there, you're gonna open your chest so that you can hook it right into your elbow. Now just make sure that when you're placing your elbow that it's not at shoulder height. It should be a little bit higher, just at a slight angle. You're gonna open your chest away from the pole, and you're getting that pole right into your elbow. Now you're gonna grab your fingers, so think about grabbing your outside hand with your inside hand, pull it down, and then really open through the chest, and then get it right into the elbow. Ooh, that's a bit spicy on the elbow. I hope that you can feel that shoulder opening when you're doing that. Let's try it one more on that same side. So place your elbow onto the pole, palm facing up, then turn your palm back in towards the pole. You're gonna hook that elbow onto the pole, other hand comes on top, pull your fingertips, and then open through your chest away from the pole. Good, well done. Let's try it on the other side. Ooh. All right. So palm facing up, then turn your palm back, and then hook it right into your elbow. You're gonna turn your palm in, grab your fingertips, pull it down, open your chest away from the pole, get it right into the elbow crease. Whew. All right, one last one. Now remember that when we're doing these and when you're learning a new move, sometimes it's just about getting over that pain for the first round or maybe even for that day, and then it definitely gets better. You know how it works. All right, let's try one last one. Palm facing up, then turn your palm towards the pole, then get it right into your elbow. Grab your outside hand to your inside hand, pull that elbow down, open through your chest. Good, and coming out. Well done. So that's your elbow grip conditioning done, and opening through the shoulders. All right, now let's get into our sitting bird. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna go through 3 different variations today. So this, what a sitting bird looks like. First variation. Second variation. And third variation. All right, so let's break down the sitting bird, 3 different variations of them. Now, our first one is an elbow hook variation. So, when you're hooking your elbow, make sure that your elbow is slightly higher than shoulder height. If it is any lower, it's gonna be really hard for you to hold that elbow. Make sure that when you're hooking that elbow, you're turning your palm forward, a little bit higher than shoulder height, and you're gonna pull it towards your face and then down to the floor. And that's how you get all that elbow hook needed. So you're going to climb the pole, one spinning climb or a static climb, inside and on top, so that once you do the second climb, your outside hand will be on top, then hooking your inside elbow onto the pole. Your inside leg is gonna hook, make sure you're pressing your hip down to the floor, cross your other leg on top, and then you are in your elbow hook variation. Now, for the second variation, this one is going to require a little bit of shoulder mobility. So if you feel like this is not for you yet, that's totally fine. Remember to keep working on that conditioning and you're gonna get there. So, once you hook your inside leg onto the pole, your outside hand is gonna come on top. You're gonna bring your inside arm through. Think like you're serving a dish. Arm comes through. You're gonna get that elbow onto the pole, turn your palm backwards. You're gonna hook that elbow. Once you feel that security, you're gonna slowly take that outside hand off, grab your outside hand with your inside hand, pull it down, up and over, or you can keep it above, and you're hooking your other leg on top. So I'm gonna come into a climb. I'm gonna come into a side sit. Elbow comes through the gap, hook it on, grab, and then pull it over your shoulder. Make sure you're turning your chest away from the pole. To come out, grab the pole with your outside hand, inside hand comes back onto the pole, inside leg steps down, then outside leg. Perfect, well done. Now just to even it out, I'm gonna do this on the other side, but let's go through our last variation, which is a no-handed sitting bird. So you're coming into a climb again, or if you wanna try this just so that you feel a little bit more secure, you can try this from the floor. So you're gonna hook your inside leg onto the pole, then your outside leg. Now, remember that on this one, you want your outside hand on top, you're hooking, then you're bringing your inside arm through the gap and press the back of your arm onto the pole. Then from there, slowly taking your other hand off. To come out, grab the pole above again, and then you can step down. Now, remember that with this variation, you need to really think about pressing your inside arm onto the pole open through your chest. If you don't open your chest forward, it's gonna be really hard for you to get it right into the back of your arm. So make sure that you have all the grip you need. Well done. And that's all your 3 variations. Your front elbow hook, and then your elbow hook over your head, and then lastly, no-handed sitting bird. Alrighty, now let's go through some tips and common mistakes of this move. Now, our first one is not having enough grip. This is a really common one when it comes to the sitting bird. And let's just go through all the grip points for this one, because the grip points may help you identify where you need to grip up. Now, firstly, it is a side of our thigh. Now this one, commonly a lot of people think that it is just a knee pit, but remember that once you come in position, because you are turning your chest away, your grip point might slightly change. So that means that you need most of the grip through the side of the calf, in your knee pit, and then also the side of the thigh here. So remember to grip up your inner thigh, the outer part of your thigh when you get into the sitting bird. Now, obviously you're going to need your inside elbow and then all the way the side of your forearm and also through your bicep as well. So make sure that you grip up all of it. You actually need the inner part of your bicep here, so make sure you grip that up as well when you're doing this elbow hook. Now when you're doing this elbow hook, most of the elbow hook position is going to be the outer part here, so grip up this strip. Now obviously for the last one, the no-handed one, you actually need a lot of grip through the back of your shoulders here. So if you feel like you don't have a lot of grip there, make sure you grip up the back of your shoulders because that helps a lot. That actually helps a lot. Now obviously your hands as well when you're setting up, so make sure you grip up. If you have dry skin, get something a little bit more tackier, maybe like shaving foam, that helps really well for me. If you have sweaty skin, then make sure you get something a little bit more drying, maybe an antiperspirant. Remember, you can always invest in sticky leggings or even sticky gloves. Worst comes worse, or you can even grab a silicone pole as well, because that's another option. Now just keep in mind that if you are using like a silicone pole or sticky leggings, that you won't be able to do static rotation. So that's just one limitation that you have when you are thinking of what option you want in terms of grip. Now, let's go through our leg positioning when we are in our sitting bird. Now remember that this is not a front hook. A front hook, you are extending your hip forward. Now for this one, you are flexing your hip. So you're actually in flexion of your hip. So just make sure that you're pressing your hip into your thigh and you're sitting your hip down. Now, when I say sitting your hip down, it's not as if you're doing a viva where you're dropping your hip a little further down than your knee. You still want to ensure that your hip to knee is in one line, or at least your hip is a little bit higher than where your knee is. If you drop down any lower than that, you won't be able to get the grip you need. So just make sure that you're positioned correctly. Maybe look at yourself in the mirror, maybe video yourself doing the move. That's gonna help you identify how and where you are, I guess, positioned in that move. Now, once you hook your other leg on top, just make sure that your knee is nice and close, because the closer your knees are, the more grip you'll get through that knee pit and also through the side. Now, the other thing you want to know is when you're in that position, remember to open your chest away from the pole. If you are setting yourself up and if you're really close to the pole, then you're going to end up sliding down because you don't have that tension through your elbow or overhead. So remember, once you're getting into your elbow or wherever you are, when you're setting up, try to turn your chest away from the pole, because the more you turn your chest away, that's how you get that elbow locked in. Now, this is obviously opposing slightly when you're doing your no-handed sit, but remember that when you are doing your no-handed sit, rather than turning your chest away from the pole, you are keeping your chest neutral or slightly in so that you get all that grip through the back of the shoulder. And remember, when you're doing the no-handed one, think about pushing your palm in, squeeze the pole as much as you can through that back of your shoulder. Now, lastly, just reminder that you need to really open through your chest when you're doing any of the variations that we just worked on. So commonly what happens is when you're scared of a move, or maybe if you feel like you don't have the grip, your natural tendency is to sort of hunch or get a little bit closer to your chest. So remember, the more you open your chest, that's actually going to be helpful in maintaining that move and holding that position. So think about turning your chest away from the pole, open through your chest, and then that's when you get all that lock. Remember, you're opening your chest and then pulling that hand in. Same thing as overhead, and same thing here. You're pulling your hands in. And those are all your tips and common mistakes. Alrighty, now a little mindset tip I have for you today is developing a gratitude attitude. Now you might think like, oh, it sounds a bit woo-woo, but what I think of when I'm doing practice, or if I feel like I'm not getting something, if I feel like I'm starting to dip into like that negative mindset of, oh, like I'm terrible at this, or nothing's working out today, or I can't do this, blah, 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 is that instead of focusing on the negatives, I focus on what have I been able to achieve. Now, in order to do that, you do need a little bit of tracking of progress as well. So remember, always track your progress. This is super crucial. Sometimes you don't realize how far you've come when you're like so focused on what's in front of you. So I'll give you an example. I honestly thought the past 2 years that I have been very stagnant with my pole journey because I felt like I was always doing the same moves over and over again. And I'm sure you can maybe relate to this if you have gone through a little bit of training with me, or maybe you feel like you're just doing the same moves constantly when you're freestyling, or maybe putting things into a combo. Now, when I did not look back on my progress from 2 years ago, I was just so in my head about it, but I looked at my video from 2 years ago and I didn't realize how much my moves look refined compared to 2 years ago. And that was the same for my flexibility journey. I was thinking like, oh, I have not improved my flexibility in 2 years. And then lo and behold, I look at my videos from 2 years ago and I realized how far I've come in my flexibility. But I was just so in my own head about where I am right now, and I thought I was honestly the same. So remember to track your progress when you're moving, and if you feel like you're not getting something, remember the things that you can do, not the things you can't do at the moment, because you might not be able to do it right now, but you can definitely do it with practice. And I'm sure you've experienced that in the past. There was moves you couldn't do before and now you can. So remember, try to develop a gratitude attitude than negative, because when you focus on the negative, you just can't see anything good out of it. And the more you practice that, you know for a fact that you'll feel so much gratitude towards your body, the things you can do, and how far you've come in your pole journey. Thank you so much for joining me in the sitting bird tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the very next tutorial. Bye! Jazzy! Yes, you're a good boy, aren't you? Hi, friends.